Hello, and thank you so much for joining us today on this podcast. My name is Manuel Ortiz with First Pathway Partners. I head up our global efforts, and today we're joined by Dianne Stewart with Pathway USA, very similar to First Pathway Partners, but she's with Pathway USA and also helps in the immigration process in a part of the process where investors don't really think about until they start moving to the U.S. So we're really excited to have you here, Dianne, and we're also joined by Sonja Clarke, who is our regional director for South Africa, and will also be giving us the perspective of South Africans as they're going through the EB-5 process and what they're looking towards once they come to the U.S. And Dianne, thank you again so much for joining us. Maybe if you want to give us a little bit of background on Pathway USA and how you got started in this business.
Hey, thank you so much, Manuel, and it's a pleasure to be here to speak with everybody this morning. It's morning time here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm coming to you from Charlotte, which is the city that I moved to almost 25 years ago now from South Africa. I was originally from Durban. I was born there, and I had a business in Johannesburg and Cape Town, and I decided to relocate to the United States with my husband and two small children all those years ago. And really, my business started because I realized that there was so much that I didn't know. And I made many mistakes, some very expensive mistakes, some that caused great anxiety. And so my business really grew out of that. It grew out of a need that I saw for people that can pre-plan when they before they come to the United States rather than land here and get treated as a tourist.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that. And maybe we could talk a little bit about the EB-5 program and how this ties into it. So the EB-5 program is a program that was created by the U.S. government to spur economic development back in the 1990s. And it allows for the applicant, spouse, and unmarried children the ability to obtain their permanent residency, their green card here in the U.S. And recently, the investment amount changed from what was previously 500,000 to now 800,000 US dollars. And so that covers the whole family, children unmarried under the age of 21. If the children are over the age of 21, they need to do a separate application themselves. So that's what the EB-5 program is, but it includes this migration process to the US. And oftentimes investors focus on so much on picking the right investment, both from a getting their capital back, because this is an investment program where you do get your capital back, and then also picking the right one from an immigration standpoint. But what's often forgotten is once you get here, now what do I do? And I think you have a great presentation to go through for us right now that's going to say, okay, so you got your green card, you're here. Now what are you going to do? Or even more important than that is before you start the EB-5 process or as you're starting your due diligence process on whether this makes sense for you or not, it might be a good idea to take a look at some of the things that your company offers.
Manuel, thank you so much. Yes, and I work with folks all the time that are coming to the United States from all over the world. So I don't just work with South Africans. In the beginning, when I started my business many years ago, I did work a lot with South Africans because those were the people that I knew what best, and I had a lot of contacts there. But now I work with clients from all over the world. I work in Europe, I work in Turkey, I work in South America. I've had some clients from Australia and New Zealand. And so I don't just focus on South Africa anymore because obviously there are many more people coming to the US on the EB-5 program from all over the world.
And so maybe if you want to start on the presentation that you had for us, because some of the things that come into play here are very simple things that you would think about only when you got here. So you move to a new city. Where are my children going to go to school? How do I get insurance, whether it's for your house, for your car? How do I buy a car? So those sorts of things are things that sometimes people don't think about. And also it opens up a lot of opportunity for scams as well, where you have a lot of bad actors in this that could really be a threat to somebody who's just trying to figure out how things work.
Exactly. And of course, as I've titled my presentation, and I'm going to share my screen at this point. I've titled my presentation, "You Don't Know What You Don't Know." And that's kind of really important, that many times people have traveled to the United States. They may even have spent quite some time here. They may have even have family here. And so they assume that they know everything about the way life is in the United States. And so my presentation this morning is going to be what you need to know, what you should know, and want to know about preparing for living, working successfully in the United States. Just a little bit about my husband and I. I'm the president of Pathway USA, and this is my husband, Bruce. We came here in 2001 with 2 small children. My husband had a lot of contracts with the Department of Defense. I had a very active PR and marketing company in South Africa that I'd had for almost 20 years. And I founded Pathway USA in 2006 when my personal immigration story became a nightmare. If somebody had sat me down in 1998 when we started looking at this move and told me about the EB-5 program, I would have asked, where can I sign? Because it is the Rolls-Royce way to enter the United States. There is no better way to come to the US with a green card than with an EB-5 investment. And so, working with an amazing company is so important. And that's why I'm presenting this with First Pathway Partners, because they are a great company. So my personal immigration nightmare experience showed me that there was a real need to educate people, guide them, and give a very independent and unbiased approach, because so many people, as Manuel said earlier, get ripped off because they don't know any better. They pay too much. They buy something that they shouldn't have bought in the first place. They pay cash for everything. So I give a very independent and unbiased look at what they need to do and when. And then in 2020, we finally became citizens, which took us almost 20 years to do. So we want to prevent people from having that issue. Very important. Why should you trust us? This is very important because we have a lot of great Google reviews. We have a lot of wonderful clients. And this is a lesson that everybody should do. If you want to do business with somebody, you need to check them out with their clients. You need to check them out with your friends. Have you heard anything about them? Are they trustworthy? The reason why you should trust us is because I've done it myself, and we speak from experience. We've made all the mistakes that you don't have to. We trusted the wrong people. And so we've become specialists in doing it the right way, simply for your benefit. We also wrote a book about our experience. You are welcome to take a shot of the QR code on here. Our book is available on Amazon worldwide and on Take-A-Lot in South Africa. And it'll give you a really good insight as to how easy it is to make mistakes on the way on your immigration journey. So I'm just going to leave that on for a second or two. Take a picture of it. If you don't get it, you can always email me later and I can send you a link. So immigration versus relocation. How many of you have boarded an international flight without a single thought about what you're going to do and where you're going to stay when you get there? No hotel, no car, no phone, no credit card, no bank account, no insurance, no school, no job, no income, no health insurance, nothing. That one doesn't do. Even when you go on vacation, you have a plan. So that is what you'll be doing if you don't pre-plan before you get to the US. For most immigrants, that's just welcome to America. They haven't done any pre-planning. They don't have any plan of what they're going to do, where they're going to go, what their children are going to do. And so this is why you need somebody like us. And we have not found any other company in the world that does what we do. There are lots of relocation companies. They call themselves relocation companies, but they're actually realtors or apartment renters or people that sell vehicles to you before you get here. Be wary of those, because really all they're doing is giving you the very, very basics. We give an entire solution to every aspect of your life. So the two essentials for a successful immigration: you need a visa, which you're obviously going to get if you do an investment with an EB-5, and your attorney is going to file the paperwork for that visa, for that EB-5 visa. The next thing you need to do is prepare for your arrival and for your future in the US. This is the difficult part. This is our area of expertise. So some important visa advice at this point. I'm going to try and give you some pointers throughout the presentation that you can really take to the bank, as it were. The very first thing you need to do before you even apply for your EB-5, we always tell our clients to apply for a B1, B2 tourist visa. And the reason we say this to you is because once you've applied for your EB-5, the government knows immediately that you have immigrant intent. So it becomes quite difficult for you then to go back to them and say, oh, excuse me, I want a visitor's visa because I want to come over there and I want to buy a business. I want to invest in a property. I want to, I want to plan where I want to live. I want to do a look-see and decide trip with Pathway. And they say, oh, no, you've actually told us that you want to immigrate. So maybe they don't give you a B1, B2. So my advice is to do it before, because they can deny you at that point, because they are not sure that you're not just going to overstay that 6-month visa or the 3 months, whatever they give you at the airport, and overstay and just wait for your EB-5. There are other ways that you can come sooner, and that's something that you can discuss with us and your attorney at a later stage. So that's a very important tip that I advise everybody to do. Just because you've invested in an EB-5 doesn't give you any credit or banking advantages. This is very important. Even though you've invested this large amount of money with an EB-5, it doesn't have any impact on your credit or your banking. You are still treated as a tourist until you have a credit score. Having no credit score and loads of cash in the bank just means that you will pay more for everything. And this is an incredibly important part. The onus is on you to understand the visa path that you're embarking on. So you can't afford not to be educated. You really need to know every step of the way of your visa. And this is your money, this is your investment, and it's your future. So it's up to you to really become very, very informed about every step that you make. What is our purpose? At Pathway, we educate and we advise. Unfortunately, not all immigration providers are trustworthy. They don't have the time, they don't have the expertise that we have, and we provide a tailor-made solution that works for you and your family. So we demystify the American immigration system. The attorneys are incredibly busy. The ones that I work with love what I do for their clients because they don't have to spend hours on emails and calls from the clients trying to explain to them how these things work. We do that for them. So they really love us from that perspective. Your immigration lawyer will take your visa instructions. He doesn't always, as I said, educate you about your visa every step of the way. He doesn't always tell you about the disadvantages of the visa you've chosen, because every visa has a disadvantage, but most of them have advantages. And he doesn't promise success, which is very important. No attorney will ever promise you that your case is going to be successful. But the good ones, which are the ones that I work with and First Pathway works with, they ensure that it's a success, because many of them don't take the case unless they know that it's going to be a success. So the majority of them will take your money, win or lose. And this is important to know. So you need to do due diligence in that area as well. And of course, they don't prepare you for your arrival in the United States. At Pathway, we educate you about this so that you have realistic timing expectations. We explain the timeline of the EB-5 petition, because even though your EB-5 regional center will explain the timeline to you in the beginning, as the months go by, you may want more information, or you might have forgotten what they had told you, and we can reinforce that information for you as you move forward. We empower you to make your informed decisions about your future plans. For example, when are you actually going to come once your immigrant visa has been placed in your passport at the consulate? How long do you have to come? What does that mean to you? I've just had a client literally today who got the date for their interview at the consulate, and I had to explain to them what the pros and cons are of how long they have to actually arrive in the United States. So we teach you how to play the American game, unlike anywhere in the world. Most people think they know how American works, how American business and society and the community works, but you'll find that it's very different once you get here. We are completely impartial and honest with you. We show you a plan of what you can do before and how to make your life here so much easier. So this is our methodology. We assess your personal situation and objectives with a questionnaire. We plan a successful timeline and life for you here in the US, and we educate you about everything that you need to know. And then the fourth step is we give you a pathway in order to reach your goals. So that's really how we work with clients. The very first step is you talk to us via WhatsApp or Zoom. We get introduced. You tell us about yourself and your family. You learn about who we are and what we do. You can check out our social media. You can read our website testimonials and our Google reviews, and then you can decide whether you are willing to trust us. And then we will give you a very extensive questionnaire to complete. And this helps us focus on educating you about the EB-5 visa program that you've chosen, what benefits and challenges lie ahead, and we put together a plan for you to work on before you get to the US. And this is really important because we can then arrange a date and a time for our Zoom consult. We'll explain the fees and the payment options for the consult. We charge similarly to an attorney. We're not engaged with any particular companies, but we charge our clients directly for the services that we offer. And we have packages. And so very happy to send you that fee structure and our list of services if you're interested in working with us. So to confirm our consult appointment, you just pay the fee. And I can assure you that this is going to be the least part of immigrating to the US, the least expensive, but according to our clients, often the most valuable. One of my clients this morning, when I told her that her consulate interview was confirmed, she said, "You are the fairy godmother of moving to the United States." And I just love that description. And she said, I said to her, "Can I use that description?" And she said, "Absolutely, you're the fairy godmother of people moving to the United States." So the consult that we'll have initially with you will provide you with a detailed plan of action for your particular road ahead. You will brief the immigration lawyer with informed instructions, because now you'll understand exactly what he's going to do for you. We'll help you plan your local exit strategy in your home country. We can open a bank account for you while you still are living overseas. We can assist you with buying a US property. We can provide you with a US mortgage while you still live overseas, and leverage this with a US tenant in that property. So you'll have an American paying your PITI, which is principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, and while you sit out of the country waiting to come to the US. This, in turn, will establish a US credit score foundation for you while you still live overseas. And this is critical. Very, very important that you have a credit score foundation being established while you are still outside of the US. And then we prepare you for your big move. And then once you're here, we help you settle into your new country. Most people think that cash is king. In America, no, it's not. Credit score is king. Your credit score is a measure of your character, your honesty, your reliability, and your trustworthiness. Without a good credit score, you're a tourist just passing through, and you will end up paying a lot more for everything. So without a credit score, your life will be impacted greatly, and during your first few years in the US, you will have no credit card, no mortgage to buy a home, you'll pay higher car finance rates, you'll pay much higher car insurance rates, you'll pay higher cell phone contract deposits, you'll pay higher apartment or home rental deposit, and you'll pay higher health insurance rates as well. So you can see how incredibly important establishing a credit score before you get to the United States can benefit you so much financially. So the credit score paradox is you can't get a US credit score without having a US credit score. So you can't get a US credit score without having US credit unless you currently live overseas. This is the little loophole that we managed to discover, and we offer this plan to our clients. So if you have any questions about US immigration before, during, or after your move, there are a number of sources of information that you can go to. You can just have a thumbs up. You just think, this is what I think it can be. Or you can rely on what we call a swag, a scientific wild ass guess. Or you can go on the internet, which has got lots of swags, or you could then contact Pathway USA. And we've been doing this for more than 18 years, and nothing beats our personal experience and our contacts. So when do I start? Well, the sooner the better. Visas take time. They all have to go through a processing time with the government, and this takes a lot of time. Your children are getting older, and as Manuel mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, And they can benefit from your investment EB5 if they are under 21. If they're over 21, they have to do their own application. So this is important. And you are getting older. And so, and your credit score is getting older. And so the older, the better. The longer you have a credit score, the higher your score. So it's really important that you get started right away. What questions to ask? These are very important things before you even decide where you're going to. What state is right for you? We have 50 states in the United States, and everyone, frankly, is like a different country. And so you need to look and investigate and see exactly where you want to be and why. Maybe you have family in a state. Maybe you have a business interest there that needs to take you there. Those are all decisions that we help you make. Do you know the rules of the American game? How to function, how to interact with Americans, how to do business in America, and what are you going to do for an income when you get here? You have to accept that you don't know it all. Unfortunately, you don't know what you don't know, and that's where we can help you enormously. What about an LSD? We call it an LSD trip, a look, see, and decide. It's not the kind of trip that you thought I was meaning. It's an LSD, look, see, and decide. We can plan that trip for you. You can look at 3 different cities that you have on your radar. We can plan the itinerary for you. We can guide you as to how to do that, how to make it the most cost effective. We can give you information about the schools in those areas, the real estate market. We can give you a number of bits of information that are going to be very crucial in deciding which state and city is right for you. How do we charge? I'll give you an example. We charge for our services, either a project fee or an hourly rate. Our introductory workshop fee for 2 hours is $325. Most people that do it say it was the best $325 that they've ever spent. But you can email us for our full schedule of services and fees that cover all the things that you're going to have to do to prepare for this big move. So the next step you need to do is to book that 2-hour Zoom workshop with us. Let us lead you in the right direction. And I'm going to give you a few little tips before we move on to our question time. You need to apply for that B1, B2 visa as soon as you can if you don't already have one. And you need to understand what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. Everything is done differently in the United States. So those are 2 little free tips that I can give you that you can action right away. Question time, Manuel, over to you.
Dianne, you brought some great points, and I have a couple of questions as well. But I also wanted to check in with Sonja because she's worked with investors from South Africa, but also from other parts of the world as well. And I think you mentioned it great that this is a global service. It's not just specific to one country, because this is something that people that are migrating to the US from all parts of the world go through and things that they're going to have to do. And so I was going to ask Sonja, what are some of the things that you've seen with some of the investors that you've worked with, some of the sticking points, I guess, or some of the roadblocks that they come across as they're going through their migration process to the US?
Thank you, Manuel, and good day to everybody that's on today and anyone listening to our recording. And Dianne, what a beautiful find that we have. Our paths have crossed, excuse the pun, and many of the questions that I get asked as an EB5 specialist falls into your remit, into your area of expertise. So yes, very excited to be able to work with Pathway USA, because a lot of these questions are based on their children, based on their businesses, based on, as you said, healthcare, based on all these important things. But I think the most important one that stands out for one of our recent investors is how to blend into a community in the US, and how to start a new social circle and business life. I think a sense of belonging and a sense of community is probably one of the scariest things that one can embark on. So I'm going to put that through to you, and maybe you can answer that for us.
Very important and a very insightful question, because you have to plug into the community that you are going to live in for the rest of your life. We assume that you are here permanently. Otherwise, you wouldn't have invested all this money and time to come to the US. So we have a number of pointers that we give our clients. And the first thing is to be involved in your children's school, or become involved in your husband or your spouse's business. being involved in your children's school is an instant way of meeting people and finding friends, because your children are going to meet friends at school. And so this is really important that you put yourself out there. If you sit at home and wait for people to find you, that's never going to happen. So volunteering at the Parent Teachers Association or whatever the school has, volunteering for organizations in the city that you find yourself in. For example, if you're interested in music or the symphony, or you're interested in taking care of rescue animals, whatever you're interested in, go and volunteer your time. America is the can-do nation. We help and we assist and we offer our time and expertise in places that they need assistance. And that is an instant way of meeting people and showing that you really care about your new country and you really want to contribute in a meaningful way. So I hope that answers your question, Sonja.
Yes, thank you very much, because, you know, it's not just changing in a cultural way from the South African way of life, but it's also changing from a religious point of view, finding those communities, also from an ethnic point of view, finding those communities. And I think that's your strong point. I think that's really one of the highlighted concerns. And then, of course, you know, the second most important, Manuel, if I may, is the schooling. How do I go about choosing the right school? And do I wait for my kids to finish high school and then look for a university? And what kind of university must I be looking for? And, you know, I've done a webinar in the past on US education. But if you can maybe just highlight some of those important things before considering moving. Should they wait? Should they look at integrating their kids before the time? Just some of your thoughts there, please.
Right. The sooner that you can get your children into the US education system, the better for them. I say that it is easiest to bring small children, elementary age children. It gets more difficult with teenagers. It gets easier again for college students. But the teenagers are a difficult bunch because they're very much involved in their own lives and in their own social life, and they're finding themselves, they're going through puberty. So I always say that the sooner you can come to the US, the better for your children. Schooling is linked to where you live. You need to decide whether you're going to go with public schools or whether you're going to go private. If you decide to go with public, it is linked to where you live. So your address determines where your children will go to school. And there are fantastic public schools in America. Fantastic. You just have to live in the correct area that is zoned for those schools. Also, we have a huge variety of colleges and universities in the US, and they, as you know, they are internationally recognized. They are some of the best in the world, and every state has a leading college or university. Every state also has a community college system, which is also a very valuable piece that children that come here and that have graduated high school in their home countries and come to the United States and are not sure about what university course they want to do, I recommend that they spend a year or two at a community college, which is inexpensive, and it'll give them a great introduction to the way university life functions here and college life. So I hope that helps your viewers that are looking to bring their children and, you know, that are college age to the US.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for that insight. I would say that, you know, one of the things that you touched on your presentation as well is that when people migrate to the US, some of the first people that they meet are vendors, people that are trying to sell them something. So I think what you're doing is actually more on the solution side of things and helping them gain access and knowledge and know-how, rather than, for example, somebody that's trying to sell them a car or try to sell them a house, and they're limited by the area where they live, right? So if it's just in Miami or just in New York, that's the only place where they're going to have any consciousness where they can help you, but they can't really help you beyond that. And maybe if you could talk a little bit about the white glove service, the concierge service that you offer that really is throughout the United States and not just for one particular city.
Right. So there are federal issues, which, and by federal, I mean the whole country. It applies to the whole country. So there's certain things like health insurance, which also applies to your state, but health insurance, personal insurance, investments, life insurance, these are all people that are going to want to sell you stuff. So we introduce you to people that we trust, that we've been working with for years and years, who have helped many of our clients. You can speak to them, you can interview them, you can speak to the clients that we've referred to them, just to be absolutely sure that you're getting the right information on how to buy a car, what the interest rate is that you need to pay, how expensive is the insurance on a car. For a new immigrant, for example, a car insurance is 30% of the value of the vehicle. So if you are used to driving a very, luxury vehicle in your home country, think about twice before you buy that very expensive car, because you're going to be paying insurance, personal accident insurance, 30% of the value of that car. So my advice is you buy the same model that you want, but buy a car that is 3 or 4 years old with low mileage. That is much more sensible than buying a brand new car that's going to lose its value anyway as you drive it off the lot. We also help you get a cell phone contract. We teach you how to negotiate that. There are lots of different cell phone companies in the United States, and you want the best value for your family requirements. So don't just go with the first office that you walk into and say, let's get a phone here. We help you with tax education. In America, there are 2 things that are absolutely guaranteed: death and taxes. And so you have to know about your tax responsibility, and you have to have a very good CPA to guide you through that tax liability, because often high net worth individuals have money all over the world. They have it invested in places that are tax havens. This needs to be explained to you. You need to understand how that impacts you being a US citizen one day. We help you with retirement planning. We help you with the vehicle insurance. We help you with healthcare options. We help you with Social Security, what that means. We explain to you how Social Security and Medicare can benefit you. When you're 65, you get free medical insurance for the rest of your life as an American citizen. These are really valuable pieces of information that you need to know. We explain to you about how to not make, how to shop wisely. We teach you that, we never pay retail. We send you to places where you get good deals. Don't pay retail. Don't pay what the tourists pay. And we help you with employment support. If you're coming to the US looking for a job, we help you with your resume. We get it Americanized, because resumes are not the same in America. Most of the rest of the world have something called a CV. We call it a resume, and it's a 1-pager. They don't want 16 pages of your CV sent to them. So these are just some of the things, Manuel and Sonja, that we help our clients with.
Well, thank you so much for that. And I think that there are a lot of similarities with the service that you provide, but also with EB5 in general. I think the most important thing that you can do is really conduct your due diligence and study the track record. At First Pathway Partners for EB5, we started back in 2008. We were founded by Bob Kraft, who served as president of IUSA, which is the National Trade Organization for EB5. So it's the national organization. He served as president for 6 terms. We have a lot of credibility in the EB5 space on the national, international level, and have completed the cycle. So we've started with investors and have been able to return capital, have 100% approval track record on investors obtaining their permanent green cards. Those are the things that you want to look at. And so what I would say is, Dianne, just to give you the last word, you've worked with many investors from all over the world. Your track record is very strong as well. And the thing that you're doing is you're making introductions to people that are trusted, that are going to have insurance and like these things for these families. But what's important is that they're just not trying to sell something. They're trying to tailor something specific to the needs of the family. And I think that's what's really important. That's where sometimes people get lost a little bit. But I'll go ahead and give you the final word. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Manuel. And also, yes, I'm very picky about who I do business with. The very fact that I'm doing a webinar with First Pathway Partners should tell you something. I don't just do these webinars with any old people. I research who I've been invited by, and I look closely at their business and their track record, and before I get associated with them. So that's important that you do the same. So thank you, Manuel. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share what we do. And I look forward to helping anybody who would like to take up our services.
Dianne, thank you so much. Sonja, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Please reach out with any questions, and we really appreciate your time. Thank you.